Today in Total War Warhammer 3, we are going to be ranking the Skaven factions from worst to best. Coming in at the number 6 spot is Tretch Craventail. His faction effects are Scurry Away, has improved effects, and grants a minor ward save while active. For 3 turns after declaring war, you have an ambush success chance plus 25%, Vanguard deployment, and 1 use of the Menace Below for all armies, and the enemy reinforcement time is plus 50%. All Storm Vermin units gain the attribute Encourage, and an additional plus 1 armor and base weapon damage per unit experience rank for all Clan Rats and Storm Vermin. For his Lord effects, all units gain the attribute Devastating Flanker, as well as 13 melee attack during ambushes, and 13 melee attack after retreating when attacked. For the campaign, you start out in the Badlands right next to the mountains, and you are at war with the Moon Howlers. You also start out with the Rictus Great Clan Hall. However, next to you are Chaos Dwarfs. Above you are more Chaos Dwarfs. Not too far away is Imric. You also have Gorbad Ironclaw right next to you, Skarsnik above you a little bit, and Thorgrim Grudgebearer also pretty close. So you are surrounded by enemies and potential enemies. Now there is one saving grace for Tretch Craventail, and those are the Wolf Rats and Wolf Rats with Poison, specifically the Wolf Rats with Poison. This is because when you combine the Devastating Flanker ability with the extreme speed and Vanguard deployment of the Wolf Rats, you can actually get on opponents very quickly, and you can tear through weaker units. However, this is the only really good strategy for Tretch Craventail, and it is because of the horrible starting location and the fact that you don't have any really good bonuses that Tretch Craventail is taking the bottom spot on this list. Coming at number 5 is Queek Headtaker. His faction effects are Hero Capacity plus 2 for Chieftains, Upkeep minus 25% for Storm Vermin and Clan Rat units, can purchase up to 5 additional levels of the Menace Below before each battle, food cost minus 33% for additional uses of the Menace Below, and his Lord effects are Leadership minus 20 for enemy lords and embedded heroes, melee attack plus 10% and weapon strength plus 10% when fighting against dwarfs and greenskins, and 2 additional uses of the Menace Below for his army. For the starting location, you start off in the mountains, not too far away from Skarbrand and Carrick 8 Peaks. You start out with the Clan Morse headquarters. For diplomacy, you are at war with the Crooked Moon and the Red Fangs. Khorne is, interestingly enough, actually somewhat liking you, which is bizarre, and this is probably the only faction that you're going to be able to get a temporary non-aggression pact with Skarbrand. You do have a non-aggression pact with the Silver Host as well, but they're going to get defeated by the Court of Lybaris eventually. And additionally, Queek Headtaker has some pretty good skills, such as the Crimson Guard, which increases the recruitment rank of Storm Vermin units, and reduces the local recruitment duration by 1 turn for all provinces. He also gets some additional upkeep reduction for Clan Rats, as well as casualty replenishment, armor for Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats, as well as the recruitment rank increase for Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats. However, you have 2 different skills that actually aren't really good. First one is Make Examples, which decreases loyalty of Greyseer recruits, while increasing it for Warlord recruits. This isn't good. Greyseers are some of the better lords that you can recruit. And then you have Extremely Distrustful, which just decreases the loyalty for new recruits by 1 faction wide. Once again, not good, because if your loyalty gets too low, that army will turn against you. Additionally, once you take Carrick 8 Peaks, you are going to have a lot of enemies trying to take it back, which means that you are going to be at war with a lot of different factions. And while you do get some pretty good bonuses, you're still going to be at war with a lot of different groups, and they are not going to like you at all. And although not a terrible lord, it is because of the sheer number of wars that you will be getting into, as well as Skarbrand being very close by, that Queek Headtaker is taking the number 5 spot on this list. Coming in at number 4 is Deathmaster Snitch. His faction effects are he has access to Clan Eshin shadow dealing actions, recruitment cost plus 200% for all non-Eshin units, Eshin lords will never defect, Night Runner and Gutter Runner units use armor-piercing warp-infused projectiles, and then his lord effects are ambush success chance plus 25%, the ability Concealment Bombs, and melee attack plus 8 for embedded hero units. For your starting location, you begin in Grand Cathay, specifically in the mountains of Grand Cathay, and you are at war with the Dimmed Suns. For your shadow dealings, these are split into 2 parts. You have the Eshin actions and the clan contracts. The clan contracts will give you special abilities for your armies, as well as diplomatic relations increases, and also recruitment cost reductions for certain units. For the Eshin actions, you get a bunch of various abilities. For instance, you can get 5 food from a settlement, 1,000 gold from a settlement, as well as reducing its income by 10% for 5 turns, granting vision of a province for 5 turns, or increasing the number of available schemes. However, there is a problem. In order for you to increase the number of available schemes, you have to be willing to get rid of Deathmaster Snitch for 1 turn, which means that is a turn in which you cannot use him and you'll have to swap him back into your army. And any one of these schemes will require you to send out either a hero or Deathmaster Snitch. And this can be a huge problem, because if you don't have Snitch leading his army, you can't gain some of his benefits. Which, although at the start of the game those are kind of minimal, once you get into the end game, this becomes absolutely disastrous, because his special abilities are amazing. For instance, you can increase your ambush success chance, increase your ambush defense chance, reduce enemy leadership, and increase your leadership and melee attack during ambushes for your army. This is absolutely amazing. Scurry Fast Quick increases campaign movement range. Contract Loopholes reduces the upkeep by 10%. These are amazing attributes, which you are forced to give up if you want to do certain shadow dealings. So, while Deathmaster Snitch has some pretty powerful abilities, the shadow dealings wind up hindering him more than they actually help, and it is for that reason that Clan Eshin is taking the number 4 spot on my list. Coming in at number 3 is Lord Skrolk. His faction effects are: there's a chance of a plague spreading, plus 15%, plagues bolster your armies and nurture your settlements, construction cost minus 50% for Pox Cauldron, Pestilent Nave, and Plague Abbey buildings, as well as a rate cooldown minus 15 turns for the Pestilent scheme. His lord effects are Skaven Corruption plus 3 for the local province, and an upkeep minus 50% for Plague Monk Sensor Bears, Plague Claw Catapults, and Plague Priest units in his army. For your starting location, you begin in Lustria, and you are at war with the Southern Sentinels. You also start out with 2 cities. You have Sabaton and also Oixel. Not too far away is Tehenoan, Rakarth, the Skulltaker, Bretonnia is somewhere around here, and also the Vampire Coast. However, none of them are particularly great at countering your Skaven forces. For skills, Lord Skrolk doesn't have anything too crazy. Envoy of the Council is kinda nice. The Aura of Pestilence is alright. Plague Lord is probably the best out of all of them, since it reduces the upkeep for Plague Monks and Plague Claw Catapult units even more, but ultimately it's nothing to write home about. However, Skrolk makes up for this with his 2 unique abilities. The first one is the Liber Bubonicus, which can help in draining the health of a single entity unit. The second ability is the Rod of Corruption, which is extremely good to use as support for your front lines or if Skrolk gets caught up in the middle of a blob. So, this is the Liber Bubonicus. We're going to place this on the Red Crested Skink Chief, and they're taking a damage per second of 25 to 50, and I didn't have to use any Winds of Magic for that. So, this isn't particularly great, but it does certainly help out quite a bit. And then the Rod of Corruption is an AoE ability. So while this doesn't exactly make Skrolk a one-man army, it does help out quite a bit. And when combined with the rest of the Lore of Plague, you can do pretty well using Skrolk as support. And between Lord Skrolk's support abilities and his lack of immediate dangerous threats, he is taking the number 3 spot on my list. Coming in at the number 2 spot is Ikit Claw. His faction effects are: he has access to the Clan Scryer Forbidden Workshop, a research rate plus 20, loyalty plus 2 for new recruits, and construction cost minus 40% for engineering buildings. And his lord effects are an upkeep minus 50% for Warplock Jezzail's Rattling Gun and Warp Fire Thrower weapons team units, as well as a recruitment rank plus 2 for Warp Fire Thrower, Rattling Gun, Poison Wind Globedeers, Poison Wind Mortars, and Death Globe Bombardier units. For your starting location, you begin in control of Skaven Blight, and basically you're in Spain. You have the weak Bretonians above you, the Wood Elves above you as well, and Sartosa not too far away. Skaven Blight is an extremely powerful settlement to own as well, since it has 12 different building slots and 3 unique buildings. Additionally, the Forbidden Workshop is probably the 3rd most powerful faction ability within the entire game. You can give your Rattling Guns infinite bullets, give your Warp Fire Throwers a different type of flame, give Warp Grinders regeneration, send Death Globe Bombardiers through the roof, buff Doom Wheels, Doom Flayers, and build Doom Rockets, which are basically nukes. Ikit Claw's skills are also pretty decent. He gets a loyalty plus 3 for Warlock Masters faction-wide. He can increase his missile strength, gets the ability Brass Orb, has a very interesting yellow tree, gains access to Allura Magic, and can use a Doom Wheel as a mount. so Wicked Claw is extremely powerful and an extremely good faction to use. But at the end of the day, he is not powerful enough to take the number 1 spot. And the number 1 spot goes to Throt the Unclean. His faction effects are, he has access to the Clan Molder Flesh Laboratory, all armies are immune to mount nutrition, hit points plus 10% for all characters, construction cost minus 50% for breeding stock, pits of the Packmasters, force feeding chambers, and laboratory buildings. His lord effects are an upkeep minus 20% for wolf, rats, rat ogres, mutant rat ogres, brood horrors, and hell pit abomination units. The passive ability regeneration. The ability beast pack, which allows him to just summon an extra unit of rat ogres just because he can. The passive ability master controller, which increases melee defense and leadership in the immediate radius around him, and an armor plus 10 for wolf rats, rat ogres, mutant rat ogre, brood horror, and hell pit abomination units for his army as well. For your starting location, you begin right above Kislev, and you are in control of Hell Pit. You have access to the exotic animal tamer, which increases your growth juice by plus 2 per turn. That growth juice is used for your growth vat, which you can use to get monstrous units. And if you wait long enough, you can get a Hell Pit Abomination out of the growth vat. Additionally, the Flesh Laboratory has some ridiculously powerful effects, all of which can be unlocked by using mutagen. Some of these augments involve turning monsters into the undead, where they receive the hunger, the undead ability, and rather than fleeing, they crumble and disintegrate. You can also give them acidic musk glands, which damages both them and everything around them. Decrease their replenishment rate, while giving them the ability Cellular Instability, which allows them to just create an explosion around themselves. Give them the ability to call lightning down on their location. Or give them Vanguard deployment because why not? And infantry gets some also ridiculously powerful benefits, such as the ability Necroparasites, which allows them to just come back to life because they can, give them regeneration and perfect vigor, or buff their stats. But what you eventually wind up with late game is you might have a mutant rat ogre or hell pit abomination that can summon lightning on itself, Vanguard deploy, can create an explosion, has additional weapon strength and charge bonus, and is probably risking having cellular instability. But if you do have a unit with cellular instability, you can just recycle it for growth juice. For enemies that can resist you, you have one, Malachi Makaisen. Pretty much anyone else will just collapse absolutely immediately. For skills, you quickly hit the point of this is broken beyond all forms of craziness, when you are able to increase the missile resistance, weapon strength, and melee defense of all monstrous units, increase replenishment rate, post-battle loot, and growth juice collection, and increase the number of times that you can summon rat ogres out of thin air. Plus, you do have the red tree, which increases the monster's power even more, and eventually you wind up with a bunch of unstoppable monsters, and you are absolutely steamrolling everything in your path. And it is because of the overpowered abilities that you can give to your units that Throt the Unclean is taking the number 1 spot on this list. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Also, go check out my Discord server as well as my Patreon. Links to both those in the description below. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.